Welcome to Protomotive. We're finishing up the fabrication on this twin turbo system behind me and had a couple questions come along that we thought we'd answered. So let's flip around and see what we got back here. And here it is. Pretty fun. This exhaust was custom fabbed for a Cars and Coffee style car. That's why we've got the center out GT3 exit going on here. Normally we'd have one of our X-Pipes or a muffler here, more streetcar-ish. These Cars and Coffee cars, and RWB wide body cars, things that have no bumpers on them, they want a lot of show there. We originally were talking about putting the turbos in the rear, but it's pretty messy. You can't really get good filtration back there. Drain backs for the turbos are difficult. Feeds, you end up having to cut some of the chassis out. So we thought this would really be pretty fun. One of the questions we had on that was, does it sound like two 3-cylinders without a merge? And actually that's part of the reason that we put the two centers so close to each other. We have done it the other way, where we had the tips coming straight out from each turbo and one coming out on either side. And when you do that, yes, it does sound like two 3-cylinder cars driving down the road. Something probably akin to an old Russian military vehicle or something. Pretty terrible. Whereas putting them out in the center here, you do get a fun GT3 sounding RSR sound. Plus we've got the wastegates. Now the wastegate dumps coming out on either side, combined with the tips in the center, kind of gives you GT3 coming up, and then you get on boost and you got this RSR open wastegate sound going on. We'll flip this over in a second here for you. Show you what's going on the rest of the exhaust. How does fueling work? Old ECU. This particular one is going our pressure sensing system or speed density. I don't have the ECU in my hands right now, but it's a standard Carrera 3.2 ECU. The 3.2 DME, we're able to convert it very similar to the Bosch MP 1.2 that was in the 962 race cars. Roof used that a bit also, but rather than use the full racing ECU, we ended up converting the standard 911 Carrera 3.2 DME to what we always called pressure sensing. With pressure sensing, we're putting a map sensor in the DME and putting a TPS. I don't have the TPS on this one here. 3.2 Carrera DME that we will be converting to our pressure sensing. And on the throttle, we take the original throttle off. We can go ahead and convert it over to a TPS and put an intake air temp sensor on the back. So now we've got proper speed density conversion going on with Carrera 3.2 DME. So we're completely mappable by map and RPM with acceleration enrichment and whatnot. This particular one will also use our, here we go, one of our fuel pressure regulators, dual rate regulator. Trying to get this in focus here. This one uses dual diaphragms. Almost dropped it. The original diaphragm down below, our diaphragm up top at a 3.8:1 ratio. Under vacuum, this acts like a bone stock Carrera 3.2 fuel pressure regulator, whereas on boost, it transitions, it shuts off the lower port, it works off the upper port, and gives you a 3.8:1 ratio that compensates very closely direct to what's required on a 2.8 bar base. On this particular one, we're going to use 37-pound 944 turbo fuel injectors, green top injectors with 37-pound injectors, and that you're able to run these things up in the mid-6s easily, because as we keep going up in boost pressure, the fuel pressure climbs. So up at, well, at a bar boost, you got 3.8 plus 2.8, 6.6 bar of fuel pressure on top of it, so you've got a lot of fuel flow going on there. What size turbos are they? These happen to be GT2860 RSs. They're about 35-pound compressors. They are good for about 350 horsepower piece. So we're looking at 700 horsepower potential in this kit. This fab is very universal. Same turbo system we've made for We even did a stage 1 twin turbo in California. We've done stage 1, stage 2. We're putting together a stage 2 twin turbo kit right now using some SSI heat exchangers for a client up in Connecticut. That'll be fun. Otherwise it'll be very similar on top. But we've run anything on these from little GT25s, we've run K16s, we've run GT3076s, GT35 82s. The fitment of the Carrera Turbo is very flexible there, and with the V-band inlet and outlet, it'll take just about any Carrera Turbo that'll fit in place there. This particular setup is going to be running 3.4 liter. They're building the engine. No, this is not the engine. Actually, if you look down in there, there's a hole on this block. This is just our fab motor that we fab all the turbo systems on for the Carrera 3.2. There's the fab motor for 993s and 964s. This one's getting ready to go out also as soon as we get the intake plumbing welded up. Anyway, so this particular one will be 3.4 around a bar 2 on pump gas. It'll be making, we've dynoed these on our engine dyno around 625 horsepower on pump gas. On raised gas, you can push them further. We've run them up to 700 horsepower. With bigger turbos, we've run them at 800, 900. We get crazy on them. Stage 2 stuff, running 3.2. They're running typically 460 to 480 horsepower at the crank. This one says, do you need a bottom end reinforcement on that particular engine? Well, this one with a hole in the block, maybe. But typically, our stage 1s are bolt-on. Stage 2s do require top end rebuild. We lower the compression ratio, still 3.2 liters. Normally stage 3s are 3.3. Normally single turbo, twin turbos are just a lot more fun. This one's going 3.4 liter, I think 7.5 to 1 compression ratio, twin plug, Evo cams, solid rockers. All these have solid rockers. We'll be running dual fast, which used to be crane CD ignition modules, the OEM DME on this particular one, and then we go on to 3.5, 3.6. So the stage 2s are lowered compression. The 911s have very strong rods. You can just put rod bolts in them. Stage 3s, we're using C2 turbo head gaskets, or for a little bit more boost, we'll put in flame rings, reinforce the cylinder heads. So it really depends on what is going on. Lest we not forget about probably one of the most prominent items on our turbo systems is a Protomotive Intercooler. These have grown in size over the years. They're now a 3.5 inch thick core by 10 inches run by 30 inches width, which takes up the entire tail on a 911 turbo, DP Kramer extended wing, RSR 993. We get insane efficiency on these things. We've measured it upwards of 86% thermally efficient, which is pretty insane considering the 930 turbo. We measured that at 16% efficient. A C2 turbo was doing pretty good. They were up in the 50s somewhere at stock power levels, around 400 horsepower. But if you increase the power level up, your intercooling efficiency dropped way down. So we've done all we can do to make the best possible intercooling for these that we can, and just made them gorgeous. We love our intercoolers, so hopefully you do too. We offer these in satin finish, brushed satin aluminum, polished. This one is satin black with a special thermal coating on it. Let me go ahead and shut this off. I'll flip this engine over and we'll take a look on the bottom side. Here's the underside of this engine. There's our equal length headers. We run like a 22 inch primary equal length designed in CAD, 3-to-1 proper merge collector, 2 inch secondary running into a 38 millimeter gate. We're able to position these so we don't need any special pumps. We're able to gravity drain them right into the lower cover, and with the lower cover it drains back. Normally there'd be an oil return tube that would go from here to here. Again, this particular client asked for this style exhaust exit for a cars and coffee car. This particular one is running Racetronics, 38mm gates. We run tile gates, NVS's. We run Turbo Smart gates. They're pretty interchangeable as far as performance. If you're going down the quality line, they're all pretty similar. I think the tile is definitely got a better history with that. Push come to shove, we would choose a tile gate any day. They're gonna outperform and outlast. Price is very similar on all of them, but the tile just aren't available all the time. Anyway, this is the lower end of it. We've got the rest of the hole on the block. I think that's a 30-year-old hole. This engine has probably seen hundreds of systems being fabbed on it. We're running resonators on this, 3-inch V-band out to 3-inch in, 3-inch out. This particular one is running JMD resonators. We've run MagnaFlow for years on these things. Also, again, we'll run our X-Pipe, we'll run mufflers depending on customer order. Is it street, is it track, is it performance? Well, they're all performance. What sound are they looking for, basically? Do they want GT3 race sound? Do they want RSR sound? Do they want totally streetable quiet sound? We're able to put cats in these where required for street use, just whatever you guys are looking for. Any other questions? Throw them in the comments. Let us know what else you'd like to know. If these point of views are fun, show you a little bit more. We've got plenty more to come. Again, here's a 993 system coming together. Just a brief look here. It's got our snazzy lower valve covers. Same turbos, same headers, very different positioning on the turbos on that versus this that are tucked up very tight to it. Hope this was fun. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment below. Always happy to shoot these for you guys. Just let us know what you want to see. Thanks.